Hello, everybody, and welcome to the webinar for the July SBIF District Rollout. We'll be getting started in just a few moments. As a reminder to everybody here, if you have any questions during this conversation, feel free to put them in the Q&A box below, and we can be answering them live as well as verbally at the end. Additionally, everybody participating today will receive an email copy of this presentation. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again for joining us for the July 2021 SBIF District Rollout. We'll be getting started in just one moment. Hello, everyone. This is Kim Brisky with Summer Corps. We are the administrator of the SBIF program. We're happy to have you here today at the July 2021 SBIF District Rollout webinar. We're going to get started in about 1 minute, but I just wanted to let everybody on this call know that if you have any questions during this presentation, you can put them in the Q&A box below. We'll be answering them live as well as with the formal session at the end. Additionally, everybody who's on the call today will be receiving a copy of this presentation over email. So we'll get started in about 30 seconds and we will get this presentation going. Thanks so much. All right, I think we're going to get this presentation started. We're going to kick it off with a few remarks from Nora Curry, who is the SBIF Program Director over at the Chicago Department of Planning and Development.
Thank you. Oh, I'm not muted. Thank you, Kim. And hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us at the webinar today. My name, as Kim said, is Nora Curry. I am with the Department of Planning and Development, and I serve as the SBIF Program Director here at DPD. And I'm joined today by my colleagues here at DPD, Fareed Mohammed. I just saw him flash across my screen, and Leah Ivaris, who work on the SBIF program with me. And from Summer Corps, you already heard Kim Brisky and Sylvia Orozco. I think probably LaTanya Jones and Ellie Beth are also here. Castaneda are also here. And Summer Corps is a program administrator contracted by DPD to run the SBIF program, the Small Business Improvement Fund. And we are excited today to share some of the new enhancements to SBIF to the program, which provide grants to small businesses and property owners to make needed improvements to their property. The changes went into effect at the beginning of 2021. The first enhancement was a robust 3-year funding plan, the largest that we've had in our 20-year history, which was just over $60 million in 60 tax increment financing districts all across the city of Chicago. The second were about 8 new program improvements. And to highlight a few of those, we've been able to increase the grant amount for commercial properties from a maximum of $100,000 to a maximum of $150,000. For industrial, from $150,000 to $250,000. We're also able to help businesses more. We've increased the amount that we can reimburse from up to 75% of project costs all the way to up to 90% of project costs for commercial projects. We're also providing more technical assistance, offering you a list of architects and construction managers who are ready to help serve your projects. So I'm going to let Sylvia get into more of the details on that. She's here from Summer Corps, and she'll outline the enhancements as we move through the overview. So I will hand it over to Sylvia now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nora, and thank you all for everyone that's joining us today. Again, my name is Silvia Sanchez Orozco. I am the Program Director for the Small Business Improvement Fund program, and I'm happy to say that I've worked for Summer Corps for the past 16 years on the SBIF program. I've assisted hundreds of existing businesses, landlords, and startups. As Nora mentioned, Summer Corps is a not-for-profit. We do small business lending. We offer SBA 504 loans, the SBIF program, as well as the NOF program. Now in its 21st year, SBIF is actually one of the longest running and most successful City of Chicago programs. We've helped retain and expand small businesses throughout the entire City of Chicago, nearly every single neighborhood, and dispersing over $100 million. So please be advised that this program is non-residential. We do not cover any residential properties. Residential sections of mixed-use buildings, the grant cannot be used for capital or operating expenses. It is specifically for infrastructure repairs in the form of reimbursement. So with that being said, again, thank you for joining us today, and we'll go ahead and get started with the presentation. So what is SBIF? We'll go over the grant parameters, the program mission. Is your business or property in a SBIF district? Which districts are open or on deck? Do you meet the eligibility requirements? What are the SBIF program rules? How do you apply? What is the program timeline? What resources are available to help? We'll also go over the July 2021 rollout information and sample project, go over SBIF facts, and also have additional question and answer session at the end. Launched in 1999, the City of Chicago Small Business Improvement Fund program helps promote economic development by providing small businesses and landlords with reimbursable grants for permanent building improvement cost. Residential projects are not eligible. SBIF grant uses the local tax increment financing revenue to reimburse grantees for the pre-approved repair or rehab of their business facilities or adjacent land acquisition. Summer Corps is the program administrator, and we're contracted by the City of Chicago to administer the program. The maximum grant amount allowed under SBIF is $250,000 maximum assistance per industrial property, $150,000 maximum assistance per single owner or tenant of a commercial property or landlord, and $250,000 maximum may be granted per multiple owner or commercial tenant properties, with $75,000 maximum assistance per tenant or landlord. The applicants may receive one or more grants up to their maximum program assistance. Once the maximum is reached, the applicants will need to wait 3 years to reapply. Your reimbursement percentage will be determined according to the appropriate application type, which will vary. Different factors that will determine your eligibility and reimbursement rate, which will go forward, will be forthcoming soon. So for commercial businesses, tenant applicants, we take a look at their base gross sales and gross receipts for nonprofits. So if your gross sales or gross receipts happen to fall between $0 and $3 million, you'd be eligible for 90% reimbursement. If it falls between $3 to $6 million, you'd be eligible for 60% reimbursement. And gross sales or gross receipts within $6 to $9 million, you'd be eligible for a 30% reimbursement. For commercial businesses, landlord applicants that have no interest in the business that's leasing the space, It is based on the net worth and liquid assets cap of $500,000 per individual. So if yours happens to fall between 0 to 3 million, you'd qualify for 90%, 3 to 6 million, 60%, and 6 to 9 million at 30% reimbursement. For commercial businesses that are owner occupied, the above mentioned schedules for both net worth and sales and all requirements for landlords and commercial tenant types also apply. So if the applicant should fall within different eligibility ranges for net worth and sales, then the applicant will be eligible for the lesser of the two percentages. For industrial businesses, both business and property owners qualify for 50% reimbursement. So here we have a sample of a grant calculation. So let's say, for example, that Grace submits an application for a SBIF grant with an open district. She has a total eligible project cost of $100,000. Let's say she's proposing to make a permanent building improvements to her existing retail shop for which she is a tenant. Grace has been in business for 5 years. Over the last 3 years, her gross sales have averaged $1.5 million. Excuse me. Here we have a breakout of eligible costs as follows. The total eligible cost is $100,000. Commercial tenant applicant, her gross sales fall under $3 million, which means she qualifies for 90% reimbursement. And the city's responsibility is 90%, which is $90,000. And the applicant's responsibility is 10% at $10,000. Is your business or property in a SBIF district? So in order to determine this, you can visit our website at summercore.com/SBIF to see if your property is in a district. So once you get to the site, you would click on this number 1 here, and then it will take you to a different website where you're going to be able to enter your address. And once you enter that address, it'll give you specific information about that property. So this one happens to fall within the Stony Island Avenue Commercial and Burnside TIF district. So if your property is located within a district, it will be listed here. Here we also have the list of local delegate agencies that are assigned to assist the applicants, and this information will be available as we go along through the presentation. So once you determine whether or not your property is in a TIF district, here we have a calendar of eligible SBIF districts in Chicago that span from the north, south, and west side. So every month marks a new 30-day open acceptance period in which we can receive applications for those specific areas that are authorized. So notice the district of openings are provided to the relevant aldermen, and they're posted on DPD and SummerCore's websites and included in the SBIFgram. So again, in order to figure out whether or not you fall within district, you can visit our website, summercore.com/SBIF. Who can apply for a SBIF grant? So business and property owners can apply if they are in SBIF districts in the city of Chicago that are currently accepting new applications for the program. Business owners can own or lease their spaces of business. Landlords of commercial or industrial properties can also apply. They must have a city of Chicago business license, which is required. So for commercial businesses, if you're owner occupied, your annual sales must total less than $9 million. For industrial business who are owner occupied, you must have 200 or fewer full-time equivalent employees. For landlords, property owners must have a combined net worth that does not exceed $9 million, and total liquid assets cannot exceed $500,000 per individual. So some examples of liquid assets are cash on hand and non-retirement stocks and bonds. So if your liquidity exceeds 500, you would not be eligible for the program. So this requirement should also apply to industrial businesses that lease any portion of the property to one or more entities, which do not share any common ownership with the applicant's business. So for the tenants, the annual sales must be less than $9 million with express prior property owner approval. Do you meet the SBIF eligibility requirements? What businesses and organization types are ineligible to apply? So some of the businesses that do not qualify include chains and franchise businesses, bank branches, churches, payday loan stores, currency exchange stores, nightclubs, bars. So this list is not comprehensive. So if you're not sure, you can always check in with us and we'll let you know whether or not the type of business qualifies for the program. What are the SBIF program rules? So what improvement costs are eligible for SBIF? So some of the items that we do cover include roofing and facade, components of signs or awnings which are permanently affixed to the building, alterations or structures needed for ADA compliance, if you need to add ramps or railings, widen the entry doorways, that is ADA compliance, so we will cover that, excuse me. HVAC and other mechanical systems, plumbing and electrical work, basically any permanent renovation. If you're unclear, again, you can always check with us to see whether or not it's something that we can cover. The purchase of adjacent land parcels for purpose of expansion or parking, which can only be done if you currently occupy your property that you own and operate your business out of. What improvement costs are ineligible for SBIF funding? So we do not cover any new construction, whether it's an addition or an expansion, even from the ground up. Any standalone minor repairs or anything cosmetic, anything that's equipment related that you can easily take out of the space, such as kitchen appliances, computers, office furniture, any sort of equipment at all, we do not cover. Planters surrounding or affixed to the building, fencing, parking lot construction or repair, landscaping, and work on interior residential units. So these are items that we do not cover. It's not all inclusive. What are the design requirements? So in order to receive funding, the projects must conform to design requirements, including meeting DPD's design guidelines. The projects shall also comply with the design guidelines and additional neighborhood requirements as described in the guidelines. So you must abide by the community plans and other planning documents that are associated with the TIF area and the neighborhood in which the property is located in. Applicants are strongly advised to consult with Summer Corps and design professionals on design requirements and guidelines before drawing up plans for the work. All commercial applicants who are seeking a grant of $25,000 or greater shall be required to make at least one exterior improvement using at least 10% of the maximum amount of their approved grants. Could be included but not limited to facade repairs, windows and doors, and other exterior improvements, eligible but subject to DPD's approval. The requirement can be waived at DPD's sole discretion if the applicant can demonstrate that DPD is satisfactory with the way the property currently looks and that there's no exterior improvements that are needed because it was recently updated or the exterior features of the building have been well maintained and are consistent with the design guidelines. What measures are in place to ensure applicant compliance with the rules? We do check that all applicants prior to funding ensure that you are not indebted to the city of Chicago, that you're current on all property taxes and complying with child support laws. Each applicant will sign an economic disclosure affidavit. The grantees will be required to sign an affidavit certifying that they will not relocate outside of the TIF district or sell the business within a 3-year period following disbursement of funds. So in cases of SBIF reimbursement for land purchase, the purchase of land ownership will be required before reimbursement may be made. You may be wondering at this time, how do you apply? You can download a copy of our application at our website. To apply, you have to complete the application and email it over to sbif@summercorps.com within the designated open acceptance period. So we'll go over what districts are currently open for the month, as well as what deadlines are approaching. So what is the SBIF program timeline? So for stage 1, the applicants are to supply any missing information to complete their application, which they're granted up to 20 days. So once everything is reviewed and eligible, we'll proceed to stage 2, which is the planning phase. The applicants are required to submit their plans, bids and specifications, and cure any debt. Granted 120 days for this process. So note that stage 1 and 2 must be completed before approval of grant funds can be fully considered. So once these have been considered and approved, stage 3 would be project construction, which are granted up to 10 months. Stage 3.4, that means the applicant has provided sufficient proof of funding to complete the project. So the applicants will have 120 days from the date of approval to submit proof of financing, and that can be either in the form of a bank statement showing available balance, or it can also be a letter of commitment from a lender stating that you have been approved for financing. So stage 4, that will be the reimbursement process. Once all your work is fully complete, your information is sent over to the city. It usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks for processing until you receive your reimbursement. Excuse me. Unless DPD is granted an extension of time, the applicants who do not complete each stage within the required phase time limit will be disqualified. A maximum of 2 extensions can be granted with DPD's approval in the case of unavoidable delay due to extraordinary circumstances only. So DPD may also on a case-by-case basis grant an eligible application an additional amount of time to complete any program requirements. In such case, the DPD shall have discretion to determine the appropriate length of the extension. What is required to deem a project completed and receive funds? So once your project is complete, you're required to submit your proof of payment documentation or review. That shall include a copy of your sworn statement from the contractors, invoices, copies of your canceled checks, and final waivers of lien. SummerCore will then complete a final site visit to verify that the work has actually been completed. We do ask you for copies of your permits. Once that is all taken care of, make sure that all your taxes have been paid, no debt to the city. It's submitted to the city for processing, which usually takes, again, 4 to 6 weeks. What resources are available to help? So you can visit our website to access our resources to help support your SBIF project. So our program managers are always available to assist you. On our website, we have the design guidelines to help you stay in compliance. We also have a list of lenders that are familiar with the SBIF program, and also a list of contractors that have worked with some of the previous SBIF recipients, as well as a list of minority and women-owned businesses. Also a list of the general contractors that are licensed by the City of Chicago. Also available are program technical assistance providers, as well as various other small business resources. So you should definitely get to know your local delegate agency. These organizations are are required to assist small business owners in their specific TIF districts. So if you are not aware of these organizations, right now would be the time to reach out and let them know you're interested in the SBIF program, and they'll walk you and guide you through the entire process. So again, I know we're going through this a little quickly, but keep in mind that this information will be emailed to you within the next 24 hours, so you'll have this handy for you. So here we have the list of July districts that are opening. It's currently open as of now until July 30th at 5 p.m. So we're currently accepting applications for the 43rd and Cottage Grove TIF, 47th and King, 47th and State, 53rd Street, Inglewood Neighborhood, Inglewood Mall, and Washington Park. So the applications received for this area will not be accepted past Friday, June 30th at 5 p.m. So please make sure that you get it in before the deadline. You can email all applications to sbif@summercore.com, and we will notify you when the application has been received. So if you have not heard back from us, you can always confirm. We want to make sure that we don't miss any application. Here we have a sample project. Bronzeville Wings at 47th and King at 4300 South Michigan Avenue. She's a SBIF recipient, And she's also looking to reapply to get additional work completed. So I think this time around, she'll be submitting a new application. So the work summary that we covered previously is the installation of a new aluminum storefront window system, removal of a vintage metal signage, tuck pointing, and replacement of exterior lighting. What additional documents should I have on hand to submit along with this SBIF application? So here, while not everything is required, it is all dependent on the initial application form. Your applicant type will vary. So some of the items that we require are listed here. They may or may not be applicable to you, but if you know that you have these items, it would be nice for you to keep these handy. So when we request it, you'll have that readily available. What are the financial requirements to participate in the SBIF program? The SBIF program is a reimbursable grant, so the projects, the project participants should be prepared with financing to support the permanent building improvements. Proof of financing is not required until stage 3, but you're strongly encouraged to contact your business lender or reach out to one of the lenders that's listed on our website in a timely manner. I know this could be time consuming, but you want to make sure that you have your financing in place very early on. You could choose to receive your grant funds through an escrow account. DPD at its sole discretion may authorize up to 3 draws of funding from the escrow to reimburse an applicant as the work's being completed on a project. So any fees that are associated with the use of an escrow account will be taken out of the grant award. Are startups or new businesses eligible? Yes. Startups can apply. The startup applicants will need to supply a detailed business plan and projection of the business income and expenses for its first 36 months of operation as part of your application materials. So please note that the city does reserve the right to impose additional conditions for funding in connection with startup business applications. So if you've only been in business for 1 to 2 years, Summer Corps requires tax returns and projections of gross sales to equal 3 years of data. Are you eligible if you live outside of Chicago? The important consideration is where you have your business or your property. To participate in SBIF, your property must be in the city of Chicago within a specific TIF district. So as funding sources come from the city of Chicago property taxes, if you live in an area, you can call your city's planning, economic development, or community development department to see what other programs may be available to assist small businesses in your area. Excuse me. What if my business has both businesses? What if my building has both business and residential spaces? So we refer to this as a mixed use property. This program is primarily used for business. So there are mixed use exceptions. So for these buildings, many envelope projects are eligible, such as roofing, facade improvements, and tuck pointing. Anything that pertains to the residential section will be excluded. Will there be enough SBIF funds for all applicants? So each TIF district that has a SBIF program authorization in it has limited funding reserved for the program. If demand for the SBIF funds is greater than the available funding supply, then a lottery will be conducted to determine the order in which each grant applicant may be accommodated. So if any surplus becomes available, they will be allocated to waitlisted applicants. Applicants for a property that's in the Invest Southwest corridor shall be given priority for funding over the lottery. Applicants for properties located in Target corridor shall be second in priority for funding and the lottery. The remaining applicants shall be provided funding if available and placed on the waitlist if applicable after the applicants in the Invest Southwest corridors and Target corridors are addressed. Is there SBIF funding available in my district? Every SBIF area has its own budget and the city refills it if TIF funds are available and if there's demonstrated need for more grant money. You can email Summer Corps at spiff@summercorps.com to see if there's funds in your SBIF. We also maintain an interested party list for funds, so which you can also send an email to as well. To join, you can also do it from our website also. So when more funding becomes available or the city allocates more funding, we'll let you know. The interested party list also helps the city gauge demand for additional funding. What if I'm in a TIF and it is not a SBIF? Tax increment financing is the mechanism that funds the Small Business Improvement Fund program. So if you are in a TIF district and it does not have SBIF, you can contact your alderman to see what they can do to make it SBIF eligible. So again, thank you for joining us today. Here we have contact information for our summer core team, as well as Nora Curry with the Department of Planning and Development. You can visit our website, summercore.com/SBIF, and also the city SBIF website at chicago.gov/SBIF. And keep in mind that this presentation will be emailed to you within the next 24 hours.
Thanks so much, Sylvia. I'll let you get a breath in for a second.
I'm sorry, I still have not fully recovered from this cold.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I know, right? Colds still exist. So I did want to say thanks again for everybody who's here. And as Sylvia said, everyone here will receive an email with a copy of the presentation today. And if you do have additional questions, now is the time. We're not going to be using the raise hand feature. So instead, please put your questions in the Q&A box below. And that's where we will be pulling questions from. I think the one thing that I just want to get up front of is, Sylvia, can you just run through a few items that you see that can cause delays for projects? What are common trouble areas that cause delays for SBIF project applicants?
So I would say the number one thing would be delay in obtaining your financing. So that's why I mentioned previously that it's best to get started now. We don't require the proof of financing until 120 days after you've already been approved, but you know, things are moving pretty slow right now. Things are time consuming when you're trying to get a loan. So we want you to get started with that as soon as possible, as well as also making sure that once you do get approved, you know, you're working with your architects to get the necessary permits that you need. So that's very important for you to stay on track and make sure that you utilize the full 10 months that's granted for you to complete your project.
Great. You know, we've had a couple of folks here wanting to know, what if they're in process of a project already, or they just completed work? Can they still get SBIF grant coverage for that?
Unfortunately not. You do need approval prior to commencement of the construction. So if it's already started or if it's already completed, unfortunately, we cannot go back and pay for the work that's already been done.
I also have seen a couple questions from potential repeat SBIF clients, which is awesome. And they just want a little clarification. If they, let's say for an example, got a grant of $50,000 for their commercial space as a landlord 2 years ago, are they eligible to reapply again for that same space? They
could. They can reapply again. So if they received $50,000 2 years ago, they can reapply now and they can get the difference, which would be $100,000. So they could submit a new application. So the only time they have restrictions on reapplying is if they've received the maximum grant amount. So once they reach that max, you have a 3-year waiting period in order for you to be able to submit a new application for that same property.
Great. Another question I've seen is just wanting to know if you can be both a participant in the SBIF program and NOF. We've had some folks who previously received NOF funding, wonder if they can also apply for SBIF. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure. So we cannot move forward with SBIF and NOF applications at the same time. So if someone's already received an NOF grant previously, then the amount that they received will be deducted from the total that they're eligible for SBIF. So let's say that they received $100,000 in NOF, you know, last year, and now they're looking to do some more work. They're looking to apply for SBIF. So in this case, they'd only be eligible for the $50,000.
Great. We have a lot of questions here that are asking specific addresses and whether or not they're eligible. So we'll make sure to copy this from the chat and respond back. And let's see. Here's a question that says, my building has 8 retail units. We are requesting financing for tuck pointing signage and a build out of the vacant unit. Will you request financials for each unit is the question.
We do not request financials for each unit. If you're strictly applying as a landlord, we would only need financials for the property owners. Unless there's overlap in a business that's occupying that space, then we'll ask you for financials according to that business and anyone who owns it. But we do not ask for the tenant's financial information, but we do ask for copies of the tenant's leases to verify that they're occupied by eligible businesses.
Okay. One other question we had here is the size of the business actually determine if they have priority in a lottery? So is that a factor that can determine their priority level in getting the grant?
No, we do not prioritize any other applicants besides Invest Southwest first, followed by the target corridors. And then we take the general applications, but basically that lottery is just used to randomize the process. So that's how we determine. So it doesn't matter, if you get it in today or if you get it in at the very last day, you're still going to have that chance. And depending on whether or not your property falls within an Invest Southwest area, it may make a difference for you then.
So we had one question, again, this is sort of for the NOF and SBIF, is if they have 2 different properties and apply NOF for one and SBIF and the other, and the other a SBIF can apply. So I guess the question is, if you have 2 separate properties, one may be NOF, one SBIF, is that going to be an issue? Is the limit based on the same property or is it based on the same owner having the limitations?
It is based on the same property.
Okay.
And so we have had situations where, you get an applicant who applies for both SBIF and NOF. At a certain point, they'd have to make a decision on what program will work best for them. So NOF does have a selection process, so it's a little bit different than the SBIF process. So, it may come to a point where you'd have to decide which one works best for you.
Great. I think I'll give about 30 more seconds to see if anything else pops in. But again, I just want to remind everybody that the Summer Corps and City of Chicago websites are really great resources. That's where you can really find out yourself if you are in a SBIF district, and if not, feel free to contact us as well. Additionally, all of the great resources, program rules, information about financials and contractors, all of that can be found there, as well as the design guidelines. So I do encourage you to visit the websites when you have the chance. And I think with that, I think we have answered all of our questions. So I think we're done here. Nora, do you have anything to add? Oops,
Sorry. I'm trying to answer the question about the 51st. Someone asked a question about a specific property, 51st and Lake Park. I'll just answer that. I was typing it.
sorry about that.
There's about 1 block of 51st Street that's within the 53rd Street TIF. And you can see that on the zoning site. It's on the north side of the street. But that TIF is open right now. That is in the 53rd Street TIF, which is one of the ones that we're talking about today. If you're within it, it's open right now. So you need to take a look at the, I suggest going to the SBIF website and entering your address and seeing if you're within that TIF.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's also a great opportunity if you realize that your district is not in the ones opening for July. It's still a great opportunity to actually get ahead of the game. If you know that yours is coming up, there's certainly no reason why you can't start getting the required documents together and start thinking about your financing and the design plans so that when your district does open, you're ready to go. I think. I'm sorry, we have one last question. I'm sorry, Sylvia. For a multi-unit retail space, the total loan amount is $250,000. What percentage do you cover for a multi-unit if they're a landlord? So is this dependent on all of those other factors we mentioned earlier?
Yes, it is dependent on various factors. So we couldn't say exactly what you would qualify for. So again, keep in mind that if it's a mixed-use property, the max would be, or I'm sorry, a multi-tenant property in this case, the max would be 250, but per applicant, it would be limited to $75,000. So if the landlord wants to apply, he can get 75. If each tenant wants to apply, they can each get 75,000 up to the $250,000 max.
Okay. We're still having a few straggling questions. I guess, did you mention that there would be, after 3 years, your new maximum for requesting dollars for a specific property are wiped out? So let's say you at one point reached the $150,000 maximum, or you at one point got $50,000, but it's been more than 3 years. Does that reset the maximum amount of money you can get on your next request?
Yes, yes, that does reset. So if it's been already over 3 years, then you would qualify for the maximum available, all dependent on how much funding is available at that time.
Great. Oh, goodness gracious, we got some excited folks here. I'm so glad. One question, I can't remember if we had this on the acceptable use of funds list, was can you use SBIF funds for architectural plans?
Yes, we could cover soft costs up to 10%. We can cover them only if the project is fully completed and they were part of the approved project. So if you get architectural drawings done, you don't move forward with the project, we cannot reimburse for those expenses.
All right. Somebody wanted to know, can you use SBIF funding for land purchases?
So the only way that SBIF will cover the land purchase is if you currently own your property, you operate your business out of that space, and you're looking to purchase the lot directly adjacent to you, which will be used for either expansion of your business or creation of the parking lot. So please keep in mind that we do not cover the parking lot renovations, but we can cover the purchase of the land itself if it falls within the eligible requirements met going forward. But if you simply just don't own the property, then we can't cover just the purchase of a parcel or a building itself.
All right. And lastly, if somebody wants to add a new floor to an existing building, and by floor, I mean another level for a business, would that be an eligible expense?
That would not be eligible. We do not cover any new construction or expansions, whether it's outside of the existing perimeter or building up. So that would not be eligible.
Great. And just as a reminder, when folks are sending in their applications, they don't already need to send you all of their financial information, correct? It's just the regular application at first, and then you will follow up on what else they need to send. Is that correct?
That is correct. Only the first 3 pages that's available online for download will need to be submitted to sbif@summercore.com within the open acceptance period. Again, 5 o'clock is the cutoff time.
Great. Well, I'm so excited. We got lots of great questions today. As a reminder, you will be able to see a copy of both this video presentation to watch again. It's available on YouTube, as well as a copy of this presentation will be emailed out to you. And with that, I think we'll wrap it up today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.